Supreme Rice. Since the 1930s, supporting Louisiana farmers and communities throughout Louisiana. To find out more, go to supremerice.com.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Walk-Ons in Bruley, welcome to the Monday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro. Jordan Kinchin's back in the studio. Glad you're with us today. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And we got cool temperatures and gray skies today, but a lot of sunshine over the LSU campus today with the hiring of Lane Kiffin that they will introduce him at a press conference at 3:30 this afternoon. The month-long trek from the firing of Brian Kelly to bringing Lane Kiffin to Baton Rouge ended yesterday. By now, I'm sure that you have seen the ad nauseum coverage. Marty Smith, I think, finally got to go home last night at some point. To get Lane Kiffin here. The long meetings between Kiffin and Keith Carter, the athletic director at Ole Miss, as Kiffin tried very hard to put himself in position to coach a potential SEC championship game that did not materialize after Alabama beat Auburn, and then the college football playoff, which, of course, has been a sticking point, maybe the only sticking point during this entire thing. Kiffin wanted to coach the team. Ole Miss simply could not deal with the fact that Kiffin would be in their building coaching their team on the field, but in title would be the head coach at LSU. And I understand that. We've talked about that, the pros and cons. It gives Ole Miss less of a chance in the college football playoff to win these games, but it does not give the optics of an LSU coach coaching at Ole Miss and potentially recruiting players and staff, which players and staff are going to come anyway. But that was what they decided.
And LSU did say that they were fine with him coaching.
Right. As Tulane in Florida with John Summerall, who is coaching at Tulane, and Oklahoma State and Alex Morris, who is coaching up at North Texas. They've got that championship game coming up this Friday.
If it was handled like Summerall's deal and less public and less of a circus atmosphere, would Ole Miss have done it any differently?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because weeks ago we got information that if he was leaving, they were not going to. So kind of the first, and I didn't know if that was just a threat or not.
They never wavered. Ole Miss never wavered. If he was coming to LSU, he was not going to coach in the playoffs.
And you agree with that?
Yes, I do. And I understand.
Yeah,
I understand that it takes away their chances in the college football playoff. They are not as good of a team with Pete Golding as the head coach as they are with Lane Kiffin as the head coach. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. But I don't think that they could allow it.
You think the players, if he'd handled it like Summerall and less of a circus, that they would have wanted him to coach?
I just think there's so much of a difference in going from Tulane to Florida and LSU, Ole Miss to LSU. These are conference rivals. These are teams that play every year. They've played every year forever. I think it's very, very different. I just don't think that Ole Miss was ever going to allow it, and they never wavered on that. The players, he never met with the entire team after this all broke. He did talk to some of them individually, according to his interview with Marty Smith. Were there some that wanted him to stay? I'm sure. Were there some that wanted him to leave? I'm sure.
Some want to win. Some want to win.
Yeah.
They all want
to win.
Okay, well, he gives them the best chance at winning.
I understand that, Jimmy.
Okay, but I mean, didn't you respect Rohan?
I don't. Yes, of course.
Okay,
and I don't disagree with that. I think that there were some players that probably wanted him to stay, and some that probably wanted him to leave.
I just think the fans are a little bit more important. I mean, the players are a little bit more important than the boosters in this whole process.
And if you're
That's
Keith,
me.
and if you're Keith Carter, he's got to run a program after this season is over, and he's got to go back to those boosters.
Oh, and I understand there'll be a chunk of boosters that don't ask me for another dime.
Yeah. If he comes
But
back here,
there's going to be some boosters that fall off anyway. You think Pete Golding's going to generate the motivation to donate that Lane Kiffin did?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. Like I said, it was a tough call. I wouldn't have wanted to have to make it. I understand why they made the call. I would have understood if they'd have done it the other way too.
You think Keith Carter's going to his athletic administration career is going to end in Oxford? Most doesn't. Most don't.
Probably not. No, probably not. On his way to Baton Rouge, he brought his general manager, Billy Glasscock, his senior ops guy, Thaddeus Rivers, wide receivers coach Jordan McDonald, strength and conditioning coach Nick Savage, tight ends coach Joe Cox, player personnel director Mike Williams, and a graduate assistant named Sawyer Jordan. Also having their names removed from the Ole Miss directory, Charlie Weiss Jr. and Chris Kiffin, his brother, who were removed from that directory. So you're starting to get an early idea of the beginnings of Lane Kiffin's staff. We may get more, obviously, on that this afternoon when he's introduced. CBS also reporting that Blake Baker, LSU's defensive coordinator, is planning to stay. Baker just wrapped up his second season as the defensive coordinator. They've gotten better, and it does not appear, at least in the first 24 hours of this, that Blake Baker, as a head coaching candidate to Tulane, has picked up steam on either end. That was one of the things that we were watching. Would Baker actively pursue that job? Would Tulane actively pursue him, at least at the beginning? It appears he is much more likely to stay, and CBS is reporting that. Terms of the deal are coming out just here in the last hour or so. It's a 7-year deal for $91 million. Just one of two coaches making over $13 million a year. The other one is Kirby Smart. Devil's in the details. Some of these things are quite interesting. First of all, this was a surprise to me. Didn't see this one coming. LSU's agreed to pay the postseason bonuses even though he's not coaching Ole Miss, meaning that if Ole Miss wins the national title, he could make up to $1 million in bonuses that were in his other contract. Also in the deal, if he takes another head coaching position, he'll pay LSU anything from $7 million to $1.5 million. But if Verge Osbury is not the AD, the penalty is reduced by 50%. If you're wondering about the tie between Kiffin and Verge, well, there's an early indication. There's an escalator in the deal. There's been this in LSU coaches' past, that if he wins the national title, he will become the highest paid coach in the country. And he gets the private plane for 65 hours, if that means anything to you. So those are the terms of the contract that were released just a little while ago. Air Lane.
Again, Charlie, and we'll move on, but I know you have a different stance on this, but they never allowed – I find it a little funny that they never allowed the team to vote for him to coach them in the playoff, but – they basically allowed the team to hire their next coach.
That's absolutely true. I think that they introduced him right there. I think that is a little bit, in my opinion, it's a little bit
rushed.
of a panic
yes.
hire.
Yes. It's emotional. And
yes.
It
is not terribly different from, well, it's a little bit different because there's still games to play. But Joe Oliva, after Tom Herman left him as damn it, you don't want to be here, I'll find somebody.
36 hours later.
I'm tired getting no's. I'm going to get a yes.
Cobb and him are busting into the Ohio State-Michigan game to show us the baby a press conference.
I was pursuing Herman for this long. I got tired of being strung along me versus the Texas job. And when that guy, said no at the very end, screw you, I'm going to get a coach today. That coach is going to go up there, and he is going to rah-rah for my team, and we're going to move on. Somebody who wants to be here. Now, you have to ask yourself at that time, how many other jobs Ed Orgeron would have been up for at that time, okay? Now, it worked out for LSU. They got the greatest season in college football history out of it, but you have to ask yourself the day he was hired, how many other teams would have hired Ed Orgeron? And I'll ask the same question about Pete Golding, who is a fine defensive coach. But how many of these jobs, were there enough jobs open? Okay.
No.
Was he up for any of them?
No.
No. Okay, so just ask yourself that. Now, and I don't have a ready-made list of coaches I would have gone after if I'm Ole Miss. I understand the pickle that they're in, but I'm sorry, Golding wasn't up for any other jobs.
Was Oliva butthurt?
Yes, he was.
Is Ole Miss butthurt? A little bit?
That's not even it's not a strong enough term.
Way before Kelly even lost to Ole Miss, when we were top 5. And I think it was humans who asked us, so what if Kelly left? And he's the guy we said.
Yeah.
So why did we say Lane Kiffin at that time? Because we feel that the LSU job is a significant step up.
And apparently
is that fair? Is that not fair?
And so did he.
Right. So
otherwise he wouldn't have left.
I mean, and, I was, for years, 2 years ago, I'm like, damn it, Ole Miss should never look us in the eye. Now it's, damn it, Ole Miss should never be better than us. Ole Miss and Tulane are going to the damn playoff, and we're sitting at home.
And better than all the teams in the SEC during his tenure, except for 2.
So when people tell you also about, well, what has he ever done? What's he ever won? Really? Historical wins at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'll break out my list again. You're tired of hearing it, of coaches that have won more than one conference title that are available, okay? Over the last 15 years, most of them is sucked up by, half a dozen guys that are not either retired or they're not attainable. So it's not like there's this group of coaches out there that's got this long list of championships that you can hire.
And look, the players may have been a tight vote. I don't know. The leadership council, whatever, maybe they gave feedback to the administration, and maybe they leaned on them like, no, we're ready to move on, whatever. But I still got to let them have a say-so, and that's my problem on the whole thing. If they say no, go ahead. But I got to give my players that in this type of situation. That's
for these games. These games. Not moving forward.
No.
You don't get to pick the next coach.
No, so they did it completely backwards. And when you are jilted and you're emotional, crimes of passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is rushed. And these are long-term decisions that are panic influenced.
I don't think anybody would have preferred this to go the way that it did, to happen the way that it did. Certainly Ole Miss didn't want this. LSU would have preferred that this being a lot smoother. The players there, the players here, the assistant coaches who had to decide, and maybe it wasn't an ultimatum, but ultimately they all are going to have to decide what their individual futures are. I'm not saying Kiffin gave that ultimatum. He denied that he gave them an ultimatum, but ultimately they all had to make a decision, and some of them still do. I would have preferred that Kiffin finish the season. I think he would have. No, I don't think. I know. He spent a lot of time trying to figure out a way to finish the season, but it wasn't going to happen. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I don't like it when kids leave in the middle of the season. I don't like it when coaches leave in the middle of the season, but I understand why he did what he had to do.
Charlie, too, as far as he is concerned, he's got to understand that he is jeopardizing his ability to coach. He may get launched. They might not leave it up to the team.
Right.
I mean, he's got to understand that. And when when we said, a 9 a.m. meeting tomorrow, and then it's delayed, it's like, man, what? It is just. And LSU had this. We got to know about today. We got to have something said about today.
We got to know. You don't have to be here by today, but we got to know about today. They had to make an announcement. And look, I think all of this angst has been about just about him coaching in the playoffs. I think he made up his mind very early in this process that he was going to take this job. He may not have told anybody, but I think he made up his mind. That's the job I want. That's the job I'm going to take. And if they were 9-3 the way they were last year, this is easy. Okay, you guys go play in the ReliaQuest Bowl without me,
right.
and I'm going to Baton Rouge. But the playoffs complicated.
It's historic.
Yes, it's never happened before. It's going to happen again if this calendar holds. It's never happened before, and I'm not trying to make him out to be the victim here. He's a big boy. It's a big boy decision.
No, he is a victim of the calendor.
Well,
I mean, the signing day should not be 2 days.
No, it should.
4 days after your rivalry weekend. It should not be.
None of us like that calendar, and maybe they'll change it. But if he really wanted to stay, he could have stayed. He didn't have to take this job. That was his choice.
The backup quarterback for Penn State, who was the semifinals last year, launched. before
Yes.
I mean, that's just the calendar is
No, the
is,
calendar's
is
messed
flawed.
up.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that either. The playoffs were what this was the holdup for the last 3 weeks. Could there be a way that he could coach the playoffs and still take the job? And the answer at the end was no. Ole Miss would not, couldn't deal with that.
What's a better job in the SEC than LSU?
Georgia,
Texas,
Alabama. I don't necessarily. I think those jobs are very comparable. Alabama's going to get the nod now because of the more recent success and the line of success.
That helps.
But if you line up those jobs pound for pound, I don't know that there's a ton of difference. Okay, I'm not saying the history of Alabama. They have won so much more than LSU, but it's been centered around.
Okay, most people would view it as more. Well,
okay.
they've won, Charlie. They've won more, and that's
no doubt.
That kind of counts. Texas has not. But their resources in the new format of roster building, the new rules to the game. I mean, they might be the best job in college football.
Sure, and
they're sitting at home. But if Lane leaves here in 4 years and LSU's on the way to the playoff, if he goes to Texas, does LSU let him coach do you want him to coach your team?
He wouldn't be. No.
There you go.
He wouldn't.
So
be.
we can't get too upset at Ole Miss. Huh?
No.
Okay.
I understand Ole Miss's. I understand
it's not as
decision.
historic. LSU has played in playoff games. They have won national championships recently.
Right. I understand Ole Miss's decision. Okay. Like I said, I think it's a tough call. And I find it fascinating that we're already talking about the next move that Lane Kiffin's going to make. And that's what happened when Saban left and he got to Alabama. The LSU fans had a very similar reaction. He's going to leave you in 4 or 5 years. He's not going to be true to his word because he got up and lied in front of everybody at the Dolphins press conference. I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. And you know what? After a year, all of that cooled.
I think Georgia and LSU are closer than LSU and Alabama. Because I think those schools have really had very, very similar histories.
And do I think Lane Kiffin's got another move left in him before he finishes his coaching career? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he'll do 17 here like Saban did at Alabama.
You'd be not paying attention if you think, this is it. This is his final destination.
No. I think, this is just me, that if Kiffin does make another move in his career – and I don't know that he will, but if he does, I would think it would be to the NFL.
But this is a victory lap because who are you going to get? And they had him set. How many times has LSU coaching search got their number one? And I guess you could say Saban was number one, but that's kind of not realistic.
No, he wasn't.
That's an asterisk.
He wasn't number one.
Okay.
They
have to talk to him first. You telling me if Saban says?
Oh, you mean this time? I thought
yes,
you meant 99.
No, now.
Yeah, right.
No.
I didn't think he was realistic. No. You really got to go back, and you got to go back to probably Bill Arnsparger, and it wasn't the fans' choice; it was the AD's choice. He wanted Arnsparger. He went and got him because they had a previous relationship. The rest of them, no, probably not.
This is a victory lap for the search process.
Barry Jawsbury deserves a great deal of credit. Yeah. I posted that yesterday. He was put – think about where Barry Jawsbury was on the day that Brian Kelly was hired. He was an associate AD here who did not know he was going to be AD a week later. It was an awkward transition with the new president and his title status. And then you had to go out and get the bona fide number one candidate. You had to keep it quiet enough on this end. You had to have a contingency plan in case this all went sideways. And then you had to land the plane at the very end with this. And he did that. And the committee is as well. I think you got to give Verge a lot of credit for doing this. This was anything but easy.
Way back when, because he's maxed out at a program in the conference, is why I thought he was the best person for the job. And that was way before this thing got muddied through the political circles and everything else.
Yeah.
And I think it put a little bit more pressure to try and come out with such a strong statement of a hire because you had been embarrassed in the process. You've been the butt of a joke, and thrown through this thing. And so now, do you have the most hated guy in college football now?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And you know what? You know what I say about that? You in the business? We in the business of making our competition happy, pleasing our competition.
Listen,
no.
they were lauded for firing Will Wade, and we were rewarded with 3 years of atrocious basketball.
Oh yeah.
So,
we won that popularity contest, didn't we?
Won the press conference, won the press release.
When is the parade for the morality championship? Huh?
It'll all and by the way, those same people didn't exactly trample all over him when he went to NC State, but we're at walk-ons in
we're walk-ons in Bruley, Charlie.
Yeah, we are.
That's right, across the river over here, and always fun over here. It's football season, and it's always good to watch the games over here at the walk-ons. And some of our fan favorites are back. That's right, some of our more popular menu items that were kind of took a little break off of the menu are back. Queso and chips. Kick up the heat with our queso loaded pickled jalapenos served with a pile of crisp house-made tortilla chips. Add boudin or shrimp for a couple of bucks as well. And the starting lineup sampler, you can start the game day right with a shareable sampler of our famous hand-breaded mozzarella sticks, the boneless wings, and the cheeseburger sliders. Speaking of Will Wade, he loved them sliders here at Walk-Ons. You remember that first day of March Madness? We were doing the show at Walk-Ons, the original. And my man was just knocking back them sliders. He loved the sliders. So, speaking of which, the NAT for the basketball team is 19, huh? Just schedule a week, baby, and just watch out, UNO. Here we come.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net, brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com, supporting our Louisiana farmers since the 1930s, Supreme Rice. So the visuals last night, when Lane Kiffin, got to the airport, and there was, fans and stuff out there, but when he got to the football facility, did you notice a difference? And I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time going back and beating on Brian Kelly. That's over. But Kelly did the press conference. He did a little media gaggle after that. And then, I don't know, we didn't see him for a while after that. Even mentioned it and took quite a bit of heat for doing it. But Kelly was kind of, incognito immediately after being hired.
Well, we haven't seen. Kiffin hadn't even been introduced yet.
No, but we saw him plenty last night. Who was over there?
Oh, well, he's visible.
No. But
Lamar Brown.
Lamar Brown.
His mom.
Well, that's a big deal,
yes,
Jimmy.
Yes.
When DiNardo
Well,
got
Lamar
here,
Brown was talking to Knox. I mean, he was scouting out the depth chart at U-High for next year. We've reported that, so,
I get it, but the visual of him there next to Kiffin, next to the coaches that he's brought there, reaffirming his commitment. Richard Anderson from Carr.
Do I think Kiffin has a little bit more left in the tank than Kelly did in 10 years? We didn't know. It's easy to have. Hindsight is 20/20, but the first couple of rosters, I'm like, oh, whoa, what's going on here? That's when I'm alarmed. This is not an LSU roster.
This started to happen before the plane even hit the ground between Brown and Anderson, and then Braden Allen. And we don't do a bunch of recruiting here, but it's pertinent to the story, and that's why I want to mention it. Who is out of Lafayette Christian and is a very highly rated player and was committed to Oklahoma until yesterday. Mm-hmm. Shows up at the facility last night. There is a tight end out of Illinois named J.C. Anderson, who was a commitment to Ole Miss that now looks like he is going to flip to LSU.
Well, Charlie, before last night, I saw Lane Kiffin at the high school games. I didn't. Louisiana high school games, I never saw the LSU coach at high school games.
Right. And so when you flip it that quick, you've already hit the ground running. You've already got a little buzz going here. Say what you want about Jerry DiNardo, but he got moving pretty quick on Kevin Falk, on Todd McClure, later that month on Anthony McFarland, and put that first recruiting class together. The visuals of this I thought were pretty powerful after you spent the whole day, with people flipping him off at the airport, ESPN kind of, doing this.
Ask me if I've got more confidence in Lane Kiffin recruiting at an SEC school than Brian Kelly. Yeah.
in less than 5 hours.
Well, I didn't need any visuals yesterday to have that confidence.
You did.
I didn't need any reports. I just didn't.
Okay.
It helps.
I hate to tell you again, but you don't count on this because you watch this every day. I'm talking about for the people that have been following this, over the weekend, and you get nothing but hammered over. Oh, he's quitting on his team. He's leaving his team. This is going to be a
visuals count when you're invisible at Louisiana high school games.
And
invisible.
And what do you prioritize? What the last guy didn't do. Now Kiffin brings way more than just recruiting, but I thought it was a pretty nice start compared to what the start was the last time.
He put together as good, if not better, rosters in LSU with less.
And that's the whole reason he's got the job.
Yes,
that's the whole reason
he maxed
wants
out
the job.
And that's why you take a step up. You max out. I'm maxed out here, and it's a natural course. The whole execution of Kiffin, and he's at fault for a lot of it, and everything else, and some things are just circumstantial. I mean, it might be a lot easier for him to leave last year. It wasn't open last year. If LSU's not open, does he go to Florida? I think so.
I do too.
I think so.
Without question. I think he's going to Florida. I think he had.
But I understand the visuals, and it did catch my attention when Lamar Brown is there. But I'm privy to some information. There's been some contact with the kids before that.
And he's on campus.
And the kid from Carr was going to come last night, but it was a little too far of a drive. Okay, the other defensive lineman, who he and Lamar are completely different, but they are going to, side by side, they are going to benefit from each other.
You saw Anderson play earlier this year.
Those calves are as thick as tree trunks.
He's a very large guy.
And Lamar is more of a streamlined guy whose frame can handle it, who is so fast and made the monster play from behind because he's just, for the best athlete of Madison Prep, he runs him down from behind, saving a 32-30 game on Friday night. So, no, I get it. And he gets it, and that's why he's so much better at connecting. Don't you think the players seem like they're on the sideline with the basketball goal? And you see that. It's a looser type of player, but they're also pretty well coached and kind of buttoned up. So, and his schemes are outstanding. But, yes, he's a better recruiter. Now, it's not that damn video at Florida Atlantic's not going to get me excited.
Well, that was actually funny if you got the joke, what he was doing there.
But he is going to – he's a different cat. We all know that. But, yeah, he's pretty good at recruiting. And, I don't have to see the daily devotion, read. But, yeah, he's going to have them guys there.
For the first time in a long time, maybe – it's certainly in my lifetime.
There's some buzz.
Well, there's some buzz. There's been buzz before, but where I was going with this was he is not coordinator dependent on developing an offense. And I don't know when the last time that was, that the LSU's offense was not coordinator dependent because they don't stay very long. Usually. Charlie,
he if you watch the last couple of weekends of college football, rivalry week, when we got 22 games that mean something, man. I mean, 16 teams that could finish 10-2. I mean, there's so much at stake, more than ever, and he's half the coverage. Part of it is a sideshow, but part of it is he's the biggest fish out there. He's obviously attainable, and he's the biggest fish out there, and that's more buzz than getting Vanderbilt's coach who lost his last game 66-0. I'm sorry.
Very much so. You've also weakened significantly somebody you play every year, okay? Was Alabama getting Nick Saban a great thing for them regardless of what any of the opponents? Yeah. But, boy, don't you think they were happy to see him the hell out of LSU? I mean, LSU had beaten them 5 straight times at that point. They had beaten them 3 times in Tiger Stadium. It had taken them 30 years before that. Now they got that guy on that side. Ole Miss shouldn't be a thorn in LSU's side, but they have been. And now that doesn't figure to continue now that guy's out of there.
And you got to play him every week. I mean, every year.
Right, a permanent.
They're one of the permanent.
You gained, and one of your significant opponents, one of your every year opponents lost.
Chad Reynolds, a legacy title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060, full service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get when you call our long-standing staff Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. Three best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Troy, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, not much. Just trying to get my feet back from a long weekend and, get prepared for another wild weekend and a lot of noise in the college football world the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, indeed, and we've been busy down here as well. So Lane Kiffin introductory press conference, 3:30 Central Time later today. Did you stay up last night and see the Commanders and the Broncos? That was one of the wildest games I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, I did. Watched every snap of it. It was a great game. It was really fun, and it was the best possible result. One, no injury. Two, you get some of your stars back, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and they play well in crunch time. You have a quarterback in Jaden Daniels who's probably going to be injured, banged up every year or every some odd year. So as long as you have Marcus Mariota, he played very well. He had a bad interception, but you have a capable quarterback who can, get you back in the game. Your offensive line played well. The defense looked better since Dan Quinn took over. They fought hard. They played hard. They went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the NFL, and they lost, which helps out the most. They should do this every game going forward. The last 2 games have been won and lost on basically the last play of the game. Keep losing games, but keep fighting hard and willing your team back into victory. You won't lose morale in the locker room. The fans, we clearly know that, this is a lost season, but the Jaden Daniels injury impacts a lot. So at this point, let's get a good draft pick. Let's get a better draft pick. But keep playing hard. So it's the best possible result. I did not feel bad for staying up until 12:30 because it was a bonkers game. So, I've been a fan of this team for long enough that a loss doesn't matter because they've lost my whole life. So this is a great result. They looked pretty good. They played a good team, and they moved from the 7th overall pick to the 6th overall pick.
The Thanksgiving tripleheader and Black Friday 4-game schedule for the NFL. All favorites lost outright. Usually, Survivor Carnage sort of translates into the busting up the moneyline parlays. It was a lighter crowd at the sportsbook this past weekend. I think people were kind of out of money after Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, that's it was a little bit different for NFL to college. The book, we lost money on college football this weekend. Not a massive amount across the board, but we ended up, low 6-figure loss in totality on college football. Pro football, wildly different. However, the 4th biggest loss that the sportsbook took on a game this weekend was Cowboys-Chiefs. You took a ton of money on the Cowboys' money line. Because it was a tight spread. I think, a lot of the smart people are really starting to fade Kansas City when they're favorites because, they're a mediocre to decent team, but, they are struggling. And so the Cowboys have good offense. And, when their skill position players are healthy and when Dak is healthy, they're good. So, that was, there were 2 college football games that we took bigger losses on, but the Cowboys winning was actually a surprise. Now, on the flip side, the pub we cleaned up in the area of Eagles Bears, even though we're a big Bears book, and obviously we cleaned up in the Packers game. That was all Lions money there. Certainly with the overhitting that did help the bettors and obviously with the props, but with some low scoring games and underdogs winning, that is really where the book is going to make their money.
So what did you say were the two biggest public bets for the college football weekend?
Michigan, Ohio State, and Auburn, Alabama.
Alabama still covered. Did it close at 7? Yeah. So that's a bad scenario for the book there, and certainly, Kalen DeBoer, he loves to cover, Charlie. He loves to cover. I don't know how much he factored that into going forward on 4th and 4.
How much different does today feel if they don't make that and Auburn wins the game?
Hey, man, he's better at it than most, but one thing, he's got bigger onions in that situation than little Nicky.
Quarterback made a nice throw.
Oh, he made yes. He's got a quarterback he can trust. It was not his best night by far. He struggled in the biggest stretch of that game, but but his play design in those situations, it's pretty unbelievable. Speaking of college football, and yes, Alabama was one of the biggest public plays again. The odds to win it all. So where's Ole Miss? Like 5? Will they move ahead again? A&M? You think so?
Tomorrow?
Yeah. So something like 5 or 6. Well, they're 9th as far as the odds to win it all. So 5th and 6th are tied. Oregon and Texas Tech are both 11-1. Ole Miss 30-1 without Lane Kiffin and half their staff.
Coach matters.
I'd say so. Yeah, this team more than ever, and perception matters as well. Your thoughts on that, Troy?
Yeah, I mean, after last night or whenever the news was actually announced, I mean, they're going to be a team that is faded in the playoffs easily. I think them and Oklahoma, who's right behind them in the odds, and Oklahoma's 80-1. I think Oklahoma is the most. I think I tweeted about this. They're the most fraudulent team in the elite of the elite. Meaning, I think they're a very talented team, but when they have to play a really good team, I think they'll be found out, sniffed out. And Ole Miss is going to be faded because coaching does matter. We see this in bowl games with coaches leave and players leave. I don't think players will leave Ole Miss, but say what you will about Lane Kiffin, and I'm sure you callers and you guys have spent lots of words on this, but he's a good football coach. I think that the team should be able to rally around the new head coach. I believe they elevated their OC. But this is not a team that is going to take much in the way of tickets or handles from this point forward, simply because the guy who steers the ship is not there anymore, and it's a tumultuous atmosphere down there at Oxford. So, they'd have to be, 100-1 before I took a flyer on them, simply because there's no value there unless it's, just astronomical odds.
I can't imagine that there's a scenario where they fall out of the top 8, fall out of hosting.
No.
There's the only one-loss team that is behind them is BYU. So even if they got jumped one spot, they don't fall out of the top 8. The teams that are right behind them are Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Alabama, who all have multiple losses and
don't have as tough of a schedule.
Right. I can't.
No. And they went to Oklahoma and beat them soundly.
That's correct.
Yeah,
they don't fall out of the top 8.
They don't deserve to.
Well, unless the committee penalizes them in the way that they penalized Florida State for not having their quarterback at the end of the season last year. Some would say the head coach is pretty important too.
You're right, Troy. I should say they shouldn't fall out of the top 8.
One difference is there was a sample size. They watched the game against Louisville in the ACC championship game without the quarterback. And so they don't have anything to go on with this. We all can speculate, and the odds makers are going to reflect it, and the odds do reflect it, and the odds reflect the confidence level as well. They'll probably be an underdog at home hosting. And would they be matched up with one of the James Madison, Virginia, or Tulane, or North Texas, or they would be too low for that? They'd probably be matched up with one of the better at large. Those teams have to be 11 and 12, right?
If they dropped them, no, you would probably be matched up with Alabama, Notre Dame,
7 or 8, and so they'll be like a touchdown underdog in those games. Significant underdog.
I hate it when the committee does that kind of stuff. You know how I feel about that. Based on
they haven't done it yet.
No, they haven't done it yet. You're right. They did it to Florida State. This is what we think you're going to be. Okay, well.
And people got in. It was circumstantial, but people got tired, and then the networks have. Man, people turn off the TVs. These games are not competitive,
right.
And they put a more competitive team in there. There's no doubt.
Still think it should be based on what you've done. Yeah,
it's wrong.
What you've done and not what we think you're going to do.
100%. No, we agree with that, but follow the money. So It matters. Yes, Troy. What's the action? Where anything public on tonight's Monday Night Football game?
Yeah, it's surprisingly pretty narrow in the spread game. 51% of the money and 63% of the tickets on the Patriots. Patriots have been very impressive, but like the Giants, while not good, are very game. And at a line of 7, I think that is what is middling the money in tickets, so to speak, because the Giants can compete. And certainly, Jackson Dart is expected back tonight. They got great effort from Jameis Winston. He's going to make an error here or there, but they've been competitive against good teams. I imagine they lose. The money line splits reflect that. 83% of the money, 86% of the tickets. But that's not what you would think would be backing the best team in the AFC versus a Giants team that gets crapped on all the time. So the Giants can put up a little bit of a fight. I ultimately think they lose, but from my standpoint, it's a stay away on the spread. If anything, I would maybe take the Giants to cover just because I do think it will be in and around a touchdown or potentially closer. There's going to be wild swings in this game. That's every Giants team. And then a little bit surprising is the money's on the under here. You don't see that too much in the NFL. 64% of the money is on the under, 70% of the tickets on the over. But the Giants have been a fun team to watch because they compete. They're not great, but like a lot of NFL football isn't great. We're just looking for entertainment, and the Giants certainly have that.
Well, thank God, because they're going to shove them down our throats with the Giants and Jets in prime time. Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macker. That's MIMACHIR. Thank you, Troy. Great stuff. We appreciate it.
Talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
And we will take a break here at Walk-Ons in Bruley. Come on by for lunch. And also one of the great draft beer selections anywhere in the area. Over 4 dozen draft beers, including seasonal brews that they change out, along with all of your traditional favorites right here at Walk-Ons in Bruley. This is Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
UCLA's found a football coach, James Madison. Coach Bob Chesney is taking that job. He's been at James Madison the last 2 years, 20-5, his combined record. 12-4 in conference play. He was at Holy Cross and Assumption before that. Pennsylvania native, 48 years old. And getting a pretty good raise. He was making $830,000 at James Madison, and it included a retention bonus, which they don't have to pay him now. So I would say he's
allowing him to coach in the playoff if Duke wins.
You know what? I got to look. This is a report, so this is still a little bit new.
Everybody allowing their coach. I would.
Can I get back? Yeah, I'm sure. Can I get back to you? And we do need to bring that up now that if Duke wins, they're getting in, right?
No, James Madison's getting in.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah,
James Madison's getting in.
The way you said it, like if Duke would get in.
No, Duke's not getting in. No,
yes, it's Virginia, or it's a Virginia entry. Virginia or James Madison. James Madison's got to win now. They lose their championship game.
Duke.
Yeah, it's Duke.
Yeah,
they're 21.5-point favorites. Though.
Yeah, I know. It's not like they are smashing teams. Allow him to coach. What a novel idea. Wonder if the team want their coach to coach them.
Yeah, I'm not terribly excited about James Madison being in the playoffs.
No, it sucks.
I'm going to root against that.
No.
Hour number 2 straight ahead here at Walk-Ons in Bruley, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And return here at Walk-Ons. Come on by for lunch. Get a cold brew. Over 4 dozen beers on tap here at the Walk-Ons in Bruley. Great place to watch the game. Got championship weekend coming up this weekend. Catch all the games here at Walk-Ons. All right, Jimmy. Let's. We are in agreement. This LSU hire is an A. Or an A plus. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
and I think it was important, Charlie, because this is at a time when we were pissed, man, how embarrassed, how we were the butt of the joke on a lot of things. And if some people want to say, oh, you get what you get, good luck with him and stuff like that, so what? Yeah. I don't care. He gives LSU the best chance of winning games. And this happened before any of this. He did drag it out. He does. You're going to get the whole package with him, and that's all right. And some things, but just have your teams ready. And not have your team ready on reporting day in August as far as the level of the talent on your roster. He gives LSU the chance. That made an impression on you last night to have those recruits around. He's a recruiter. I ain't worried about him recruiting.
I'm not worried.
I had major problems about the recruiting aspects of it. And look, Kelly, most people are better or hungrier than Kelly as far as their recruiting efforts. Okay, he put it on cruise control when he got that 10-year deal, and nobody I never could have predicted that. I thought he had some hunger. Man, I'm maxing out here at Notre Dame with the current stipulations that they had in Notre Dame, admissions and everything, support. It says, man, I thought he had a little hunger. Now I want to go where the grease is hot down the SEC and get after it. But no, A+. Man, they threw this administration, the search committee together overnight. Did they not?
They had to.
They had to. They had no choice.
That all happened very, very quickly. The positives are, first of all, he has done this in the Southeastern Conference. He's done it head up with you. So you're not talking about somebody that doesn't understand about the league. This is a quarterback coach of the highest quality. You are not going to be coordinator dependent upon developing an offense and developing a quarterback. This weakens one of your chief rivals. So you have that. You have a very high-profile guy. I think that's going to help you in recruiting. If you want to talk downsides, could it have been a little cleaner? Yeah, sure, but we've talked about that forever. It's the he gives you.
We're tired of winning those awards.
Yes. Are you going to have to deal with some in-game decisions? Listen, Sean Payton, we would get on about, man, he's challenge happy. Man, he's constantly moving out kickers. Sometimes by his own admission, he get a little pass happy. And what do we say? That's what you get. You get the aggressive, you get the onside kick in the Super Bowl, you get all that stuff.
Impulsive moves on draft and game day.
Yes, okay.
But he's going to win close games.
But he's a great coach, okay?
Yeah.
And this guy has won everywhere. Not the Raiders.
No, he hasn't won everywhere.
Not with the Raiders. I should.
USC, I don't care about – this is not NFL. NFL is nothing.
Okay.
There's nothing. He lost at USC.
He didn't win as big as he was expected to.
He got fired at USC.
He got fired at USC. That's fair.
For not winning.
Okay. What do you think of Pat Hayden as an AD? Poor. Now, I'm not saying that Kiffin didn't do some things that deserve to get fired over there, but poor, I think, is what the USC people would tell you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But I would say a little I just always get ready when a Rhodes Scholar, Pat Hayden. Can we just say his name without saying Rhodes Scholar? So congratulations for at least doing that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just a little pompous, little bit just worried about kind of a little bit too much USC pride as far as other things matter besides putting the best staff together, winning.
If Kiffin leaves after 4 or 5 years, he leaves after 4 or 5 years. 8 of the last 9 LSU coaches have lasted 5 years or less, so it's not like it's anything that is different here. Miles is the only one that's lasted longer than that.
Let's play a scenario.
Go ahead.
If Texas or Alabama comes and gets him in 5 years, he's done his job.
Yeah,
listen, Ole Miss blew it yesterday by acting impulsive and putting Golding as their head coach because that job is more attractive than when he first took over, and they did not capitalize on that.
And by the way, you can put this in the blue book right now. I don't mind you doing it, and if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. I do not think that there will be any interest in him in Alabama ever. Texas I can't speak to. The NFL I can't speak to. But the last time the Alabama job came up, he didn't even get a call. There's people there that are still been out of shape over what happened with him the last time, and that's just it. I guess they could turn over the entire administration there by the time it comes open again. I don't think that will ever happen. I'm not telling you he's not going to leave. I just don't think he will ever be in consideration.
Let him kick Alabama's ass and see if they don't want him.
That could change things, okay? But but with the administration, didn't even get a call the last time.
Okay. Well,
and then the money.
Let me ask you this:
well, he's leaving for all this money.
What if the board doesn't convert there
money.
and they lose by 3 Saturday night? What if he doesn't convert on that 4th and 4?
I can't tell you they wouldn't have fired him.
Well, okay.
But
And who would they go get?
I don't know.
You saying Kiffin wouldn't get a sniff?
He didn't the last time.
That's last time.
I don't think
You saying Kiffin wouldn't get a sniff?
There are people. There are people there that don't like him.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
that's all I'm saying. The other hires. Okay, kind of grade these hires. John Summerall to Florida.
Good. B.
A B. Okay. Alex Golish to Auburn.
C plus.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what his staff looks like and to see if the rumors that
I thought you made the best point on him. That just don't have a long sample size.
it's 3-year resume
Yeah.
As a head coach. I'm curious to see what that staff looks like because of the rumors that John Cohen had put stipulations on staffing in place to whoever took that job.
He has recruited in that area. Mm-hmm. Some of those high school coaches may give you, a little bit of feedback that you regularly, lean on. But so he is right around the corner recruiting in the same area. So and his roster is, I think it's, of Tulane's and the others and even James Madison. I think his roster is the biggest, strongest, fastest that they can go and compete. And they did. They went to and beat Florida. Now they got pushed around pretty good by Miami, but that was a tough stretch in their schedule.
Yeah,
I just look at my eyeball
he's
test
against too much at Miami. I mean, he
that
didn't
was
have the
a
roster.
tough. Yeah.
That was a tough stretch. What I think about when I think about the Auburn program, one word comes to mind, and it's physicality. For a long time, For me, growing up watching Auburn, they hit you, man. They're going to run the football at you. They are going to bust you in the mouth. Now,
I agree. I thought they hit
Saturday
night.
And I think they hit Saturday night. They did, but I think they had gotten away from that the last 5 years. I just don't think when Harzan was there, I didn't think they were physical, and I didn't think they were physical when Hugh Freeze was there. Not Auburn, as physical. The defense was okay, but not
defense
as
was good, Charlie.
Not as physical as those. The Auburn heyday teams, man. Those guys were physical.
Nobody has those dominant teams. It's more of an offensive game, period. We can't go back like to the 80s or something like that, or even the 90s and Pat Dye. And
power running game. So,
Auburn
has
who has a power running game? Notre Dame?
They got the best back in the country.
Nobody.
For sure.
It's a different game, And look, if Saban can alter when he was at Alabama he wanted to power running game and play defense more than anybody,
and they
had to get away from it.
Physical all the way up to the end. With
this
him.
Was Hugh Freeze, and Auburn people tell you they said they thought Freeze was recruiting good. They thought the talent level on this. They stayed with their financial commitment too long. You watched the game Saturday night. You don't think that guy's a better quarterback than Jackson Arnold?
By three times.
Yes, you waited too late.
I've watched Golish's teams play. I think Auburn will be more physical. I don't know if he'll win there or not. I think they will be more physical. Return more to the roots. That's my prediction.
We'll see. They just – I thought as physical as – Charles, we talk about people that, college football, two-thirds of the guys just run into people. They don't tackle. That Auburn – I think they were pretty damn physical on defense. They're just not as good. And certainly they were horrendous overall at quarterback the last 2 years. I mean, so bad to the point where it just hamstrung everything.
Who's the last Auburn quarterback you really liked?
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton was great. But they had a quarterback that Nick what was Nick's last name? The one that took him.
Taylor?
No.
What was it? Marshall.
Marshall.
Very, very different offensive system. Couldn't throw a lick, and they won some. Come on, the Georgia and Alabama wins that year a little bit. I mean, with mirrors,
they caught
smoking mirrors.
They caught some.
But he did get the most out of him because that was Malzahn's system, and that's not a whole lot of people are running that. But that was a perfect marriage between Malzahn and Marshall.
Ryan Silverfield at Arkansas.
Rushed. He's not the first coach to win at Memphis. And there's some, Memphis, of a lot of the teams that latched on to, other, like Central Florida and the Big 12 and others. Memphis is kind of, Houston to the Big 12. Where's Memphis? Why didn't Memphis Why didn't they get in the Big 12 or the ACC or somewhere? Why Stanford and Cal? You went right over Memphis to get teams like them. So they may get hurt long term. Louisville, got in the ACC. Everybody around them of equal value, landed their spot. And they couldn't do it. But we've seen coaches have success there, and he's just another one of those coaches. And, Arkansas, I don't know where their leadership is, man. If that's a case where you dragged your feet on Summerall and didn't lock him up when you had a chance.
I don't know if they had a chance at Summerall, but they appeared to have a chance at Golish. If they preferred him, there was a report last week out of Arkansas that they had the deal done with Golish, and then Auburn kind of swooped in on him.
Both Auburn and Arkansas went geographically. They're not too far away from that. Memphis is a neighboring state Tennessee is a neighboring state of Arkansas, so they kind of have an idea of what he's doing. LSU went to a neighboring state.
Silverfield wanted Memphis. He didn't exactly set the world on fire. He was 27-21 in conference play. They never finished higher than third. They were 500 this year.
And where were they before he took over? They were in good shape.
Yeah, they had won. They had won games there. Two double-digit win seasons in 23 and 24. What they're going to sell you, and they were 6-2 in the league both of those years, but they didn't finish higher than third.
So what's separating Silverfield at Memphis and Summerall at Tulane? Inheriting good situations.
Summerall was in the championship game all 4 years. The 2 years at Troy and the 2 years at Tulane. In the championship game all 4 years.
Willie Fritz wasn't in the championship game?
Yeah, he was in the last year. So you've got.
So he did it at two different places.
Two different places,
okay.
Yeah.
And he turned Troy around. He did not. He sustained Tulane.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Got to remember too, Charlie. American weakened considerably when the Big 12 and the ACC scooped up some of their teams.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were the clear P6. Remember the yard markers and everything. You know, right. They were much stronger before they got raided. Central Florida goes from the American to the Big 12. I mean, Central Florida went 13-0. So
this is one that's out of the league, but I'm going to ask you about it anyway. Michigan State is trying to zero in on hiring Pat Fitzgerald.
I was a little confused. I thought that they were going to stay with Jonathan Smith. We wondered about Jonathan Smith's movement from Corvallis to East Lansing, and because where he was a quarterback of the best teams they ever had at Oregon State. And so he took some pride. He took a real interesting and a patient approach with them. Remember his first recruiting class, he redshirted every one of them. He says, I'm not getting judged this year. We're gonna bite the bullet this year, but we're going to have depth and quality, later on. And it's just changed. So wasn't crazy about that shift in the first place, but Pat Fitzgerald knows coaching at the Big Ten with inferior resources. Now, the funny thing is, man, those damn facilities at Northwestern are unbelievable. The new stadium,
that new thing on the lake,
the Op Center. Yeah, well, that's not new anymore. It's been there about 3 or 4 years. But, yeah, so I think he would be a good fit, and everything's been cleared, and he's fine on the deal with the hazing and stuff, huh?
Yeah, he's been cleared of all that. In fact, Northwestern, not only did Northwestern have to pay him, they had to apologize publicly for what they did. So, yes, he's 100%
Is that going to leave a Duke deal?
I think it was even worse because Oliva
that was pretty bad.
He was gone, but no, it was terrible. I don't know if there was as much money changed hands with the Duke deal as this one. They had to pay him a lot of money. I forgot exactly. It was a lot of money.
They paid those lacrosse players a lot of money.
They did.
And you don't know because it was not disclosed.
It wasn't disclosed. You're right. Comparable, probably in that. And then the last one, Kentucky fired Mark Stoops yesterday. So they're late to the party here.
Why? And the reason I say is because, they had won 2 games. Okay, they're going to save his job. He beats Florida, drills Florida, goes to Auburn. I don't care how ugly it is, 7-3. You win in Jordan Hare. It's hard to do. Ask Alabama. And so, but he just got, just trounced the last 2 weeks.
41-0 to your in-state rival,
and
who is okay, but not anything.
So Louisville's a 3-point favorite, all right? They bet Kentucky all the way to the favorite because Louisville had that many injuries. They had to play a walk-on and had like 5 career carries at running back. And so people thought that Louisville was kind of a dead man walking, and you get humiliated 41-0. Oh, it was ugly. So they're like, it was the embarrassment. Wasn't a home loss, but it was a rivalry embarrassment.
They owe him $36 million.
That's a lot.
Pronto. They got to pay him within 60 days the whole thing. No spreading it out over 6 years. Let me throw you one name for that.
That's a lot for Kentucky, man.
In less than 2 months, yeah, that's a bunch of money.
And they're getting a late start.
But let me throw a name out there for you. How you feel about Dan Mullen at Kentucky?
He had a hell of a year. Oh, Kentucky, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That would be a great hire. And you can't coach in UNLV forever.
13 years in the SEC, 9 with Mississippi State, 4 with Florida. Winning record overall.
Yeah.
Just a little bit over 500, but
don't we put
record.
Kentucky and Mississippi State pretty close in ranking the resources?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would think that would be. All right. We are brought to you by the Thibodeau Store and the Pierrepont Store. Go to thethibodeaustore.com. Their Black Friday sales went fantastic. Still a ton of things on the website, from power tools, security locks, security cameras, and all your hardware, fishing equipment, Cypress furniture, outdoor cooking equipment available at the Thibodeau Store and the Pierrepont Store. And now increasing their space and their outreach at LaRose and Lockport.
Yes.
All 4 of those are accessible by the one website at thethibodeaustore.com. Did some of your Christmas shopping with the folks at Thibodeau Store?
If you're a dad enjoys outdoor cooking like me, Ethan, go to the Thibodeau Store or the Pierrepont Store, or go online. They'll deliver it. The log rack is what we're looking for. Thank you, Michael Cobble.
Okay.
The log rack is what I had shipped, and I filled up my winter supply for my firewood, Charlie. Easy. They cut me two 5-foot 2x4s to put the kind of holds the log rack together, and you pile it up, and it's beautiful. It's just one of the many little goodies that I got on my field trip down to the Thibodeau Store.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we return here at Walk-Ons in Bruley. We're also brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors. When it comes to retirement, no 2 situations are alike. Let Phil Fontenot and his staff at Coastal Capital Advisors advise you. CoastalCapitalADV.com to set up an appointment. No matter where you are in life, no matter your age, your financial situation, they'll tailor a plan that's perfect for you and your family and make that lifetime relationship work for you as they have done for us. Again, CoastalCapitalADV.com, your full-service financial advisor. Member FINRA SIPC. College football, when they have had a controversial thing in the past, at times has made very quick decisions. The playoff this past year, we kind of like the optics of teams like Arizona State and Boise State getting byes while teams like Ohio State and Tennessee were playing. So what did they do? They changed it. And we can go back. I'm not going to do a history lesson here on some of the other things that they've changed in the BCS, the Bowl Alliance, etc. But Lane Kiffin is one of 3 coaches that is changing jobs this week that could have a team in the playoffs.
The calendar's flawed.
The signing day is Wednesday.
That's bad, too.
The portal opens on January the 2nd. There is only one portal now. The playoff schedule may change a little bit, but it's still going to be in December. If they go to 16 teams, it's only going to increase. So do you think that this will cause a change in the college football calendar, whether it be signing day, the portal, spring practice, OTAs? Is this going to spark a change?
I think so. I mean, who's in charge? Who gets it done? Who runs college football? I mean,
the commissioners of the SEC and the Big Ten run college football.
Well, yeah, they Sankey didn't try and step into this one. I've always said I would never let the commissioner tell me who to hire and who not to hire. I mean, if I think he's the best coach for my program, you're just going to have to deal with it. And Charlie was once a time when you talked about that, and he was invisible. on all this. And there was a lot of shenanigans, going around where maybe a little leadership, and I'm sure he would have liked it executed in a better way. There's got to be a better way. The biggest thing is just move the calendar. The coaches originally wanted the early signing date. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It creates more problems now with the playoff. Yes. Remember that the early signing period went into play before the 14-team playoff.
And how many?
The 12-team playoff.
And Bo Primula is not going to be the only guy that leaves his team as a backup quarterback. It's headed to the playoff. That's not going to mean he's got to secure his place too. So it's just it doesn't work. And not us. College football gets a little juice again in the first Wednesday in February. After your season is done, it gets us talking about it. Gets a little bit of the NFL has it all season long. We get that, but man, it gets you a little bit of promotion. It's 2 days. We ain't talked about one damn 3, 4, 5 star. Not one.
I think that there's a good chance that they would move signing day back. I'm less convinced that they'll fool with spring football, which was what Saban said.
Spring football is obsolete, man. It is fading fast.
They're still adamant about having it, though, and I think a lot of the coaches would balk at it.
Less and less. It is.
Well,
but
then why is there this huge exodus of teams, of players in the transfer portal to get to their schools to go to spring practice? That's what's really pushing this thing. They could all transfer in the summer, or they could up until this year. They could have transferred. No, they all wanted to be at spring practice.
They could move that to the summer. They're all reporting in early June now.
Okay,
so
that's what Saban said. Go to pro style OTAs in the summer, and then there is not this. And then you're more in line with the academic calendar, if anybody cares about that anymore.
They do, it's just real secondary, way down the line.
And if you move the signing date, and you say, if you are an early enrollee, you can go to school in January. They had that before when there was a signing date in February. If you graduated in December, you could go and enroll in school, and your signature ended up on.
I think it's going to move.
I think it's going to.
There's a lot of flaws in how they run, but this is a big problem.
Max, you all been out of shape about this this weekend.
Well, I just have a point that I think Ole Miss fans are right about here, and that is some of the coverage of this, specifically on College Game Day, which I don't want to make this a sports media piece, but it's a big part of college football is College Game Day. And to see Nick Saban, who I get it, was part of this decision for Lane Kiffin, was part of it for LSU, to come out there and say that Ole Miss should let him coach the playoff, it's unfair, whatnot, I would just say, look at what you did when he took the FAU job, right? You ran him out. You fired him because he was taking the FAU job before the college football playoff. So there's no consistency. It's hypocrisy there. But then the rest of the set, pretty much, I think Reese Davis was the only one to kind of push back on how Lane Kiffin has handled this, which I'm a big fan of this hire. I'm a big fan of Lane Kiffin and what he's done. But he did not handle this the best way that he could have. And to kind of ignore any criticism of this whole situation, I think that was very, very sad from ESPN. I think they got some marching orders from up top. CAA, Jimmy Sexton, and maybe Nick Saban, is involved in this. But, I thought it was embarrassing that they didn't kind of critique him at all for the way this was handled.
Saban would make the same move. And Saban's full of hypocrisy in his commentary on game day. He's talking about competitive balance in college football and what's best for competitive balance. God, give me a break. This guy did everything he could and pushed the envelope / cheated to stack the deck. I mean, he never wanted to have to make a decision on 4th and 4, Charlie. No, that wasn't his deal. He was going to stack the deck where he didn't have to. I mean, the epitome. Unbelievable. No positive COVID tests on the whole damn roster the whole year of 2020.
Yeah.
So he's full of hypocrisy. But if Lane would have handled it better, I wish, and this is where my sympathy, believe it, with the runts and everything. Man, let the guy go coach his team. I'm sorry. There's going to be coaches. There's other coaches coaching their team that are taking other jobs. Now, those coaches didn't handle it as poorly as Lane, and he's his own worst enemy when it comes to that. And so if you don't think that Ole Miss fans are going to get up, but damn it, there's something that's just not good about not letting the coach who gives him the best chance at winning in his historic appearance in the postseason. But he leans on. He would be foolish not to lean on Saban, his mentor, who would do the same thing that he's doing, would do it completely different. Miss Terry came down here. She did it very discreetly. Nobody knew. No, it was a public. I mean, Sunday to Florida, Monday to Baton Rouge. I mean, it was so damn public, and he goes out of his way. And then when you finally feel in sympathy for him, bam, here he is doing his daily devotion, and he's on McAfee. I mean, he can't help himself. And so be careful what you wish for. He's not going to change that when he comes here, but he still gives LSU the best chance at winning football games. But part about finishing the season, I don't blame him for it. Nick would jump too. Nick's always jumped. But, I mean, part of it, the way he handled it, and I don't fault Ole Miss for saying, no, bro, you were an a-hole on how you handled all this. You got to go. We'll deal with it. But still, man, such an accomplishment. You finally get there and not go to that game with your best, that gives you best chance, and his staff and him on the sideline gives him the best chance.
Has there been a Power 4 team that's let their coach, coach in a bowl game that's leaving? Because I think this is different. I don't think
the bowl games were different, like bowl games that didn't involve a national championship implication.
It's easy because North Texas and Tulane isn't recruiting your guys. LSU, he can say whatever he wants.
I understand going from a group of, a G6 or G5 program to a Power 4 program.
Because that's going to happen every year if this format holds.
Absolutely.
The G6 representative, that coach is going to be
you went to the playoff, your stock is higher than anybody.
Yes,
that's how you get the job.
That's the minimum that you're going to have if this system holds. And if you get a team that is not a traditional power, that is in the playoff that 1 year, that guy's going too. Okay, if Kentucky would have made the playoff this year and Penn State would have opened up and they would have offered his stuff,
and he's such a big part of the game management. He's such a big part. It's not just your typical. There are programs that can make more of a seamless transition. It's not that way with him, man.
I get it. If LSU's coach, if Lane Kiffin left for Ohio State or something, they would not let him coach in the playoffs. They would not. And
that's fine. Guess what? I want my players to. I'm sorry. I'm a player's guy when it comes to this, man. I'm not letting them hire the next damn coach like Ole Miss did. You got to ask backwards. You need to let them. If they vote against it, then you have a pulse of that team. They want to sacrifice. That's fine. They all want to be at their best when they play in this game, and they're not going to be. But the players always endorse the guy they know. When have you asked a player's opinion about who y'all want to coach you next? Oh, we want some stranger.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. It doesn't exist.
The assistant at Georgia, we'd rather have him.
Do you think with all the distractions they would have endorsed Lane staying for the playoffs?
I don't know.
So.
I don't know. You don't know that. I don't know. How do you know?
I think
I could tell you this. He gives the best. Nobody's going to argue he doesn't give him the best chance of winning. Nobody's going to argue that. Okay? So how do you know?
Even with the distractions.
How'd they look with the distraction Friday?
That was
won by 3 touchdowns on the road in the rivalry game. Huh? But odds makers had it wrong. They moved the line 4 points. Said it would be too much distractions. I mean, I
don't always agree with him, but he's got a point.
Yeah. Well, that's data. That's we saw it.
It's right. It's right. We'll see if it sparks any of the changes that we're talking about.
And to Charlie's point, where the thing you got to fight is you have to live past that. And Keith Carter and the boosters mean more, and their voice is louder than ever. And when when those guys, they tell you, don't ask me for another dime. Say, oh, wait up, I got him. Can we match? And Ole Miss was going to match whatever LSU, and I believe that. We would have ultimately seen, but I believe it. And the Ole Miss people have money. It's convincing them to get off of that money because they've never had confidence in their product. Okay? But like Vanderbilt now. But to ask that same guy, man, who committed, yes, you count me for this 6 figures. Bro. Don't ask me for another dime if you let that guy coach. And that's why, but that loses sight of the players who deserve the most. The players should be prioritized more than a booster.
And I I've sat with a lot of boosters. I've sat with a lot of fans, dyed-in-the-wool people who, after a disappointing loss, either walked out of the stadium or turned off TV and said, I'm done. I'm done. That's it.
Then they sleep on it a couple days.
And then they come back around, and here's spring football, and it's August, and you're going to camp, and you're like, you're back into it.
Charlie and I have both done post-game shows forever. He's got to go. I mean,
I'm never watching again. I'm done with this. I'm not involved. Why do I do this to myself?
I'm not putting them on until they do, and they're there the next Saturday.
One more narrative that the national media has, one that they've gotten wrong for sure, is that Lane Kiffin left for a bunch of money. And that's wrong, okay? Not that he didn't leave for a bunch of money, but that Ole Miss would not have matched.
No, Ole Miss was going to match.
And I think this was the same thing with Brian Kelly, where he left for 10 years guaranteed. Yeah, but the yearly salary was about the same. He left for the 10-year guarantee.
Who's going to argue if the Ole Miss and LSU job, which one's better? I mean,
they've been arguing about it for a month. Kiffin made their decision for him. He said the LSU job's better because the money would have been the same there. And it would have been the same in Florida.
That's right.
Would have been the same. Now they got Summerall on a discount, but they would have paid Kiffin.
Now, were they guaranteeing him the $25 million annual player budget?
They said they were.
Okay.
As much as you can within the confines of the rules. We're brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff done a great job. My wife's back is acting up. So, well, guess where you're going this week? Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, whether you can get into one of their programs, the exercise and stretching programs that'll loosen you up a little bit, or you need a dry needle or electric nerve stimulation, cryo or ultrasound therapy, any of the techniques they'll use to get you feeling better, back pain, muscle soreness, neck pain, things that are keeping you from getting around as well as you'd like, or things that are costing you a good night's sleep. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla, Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. Live at Walk-Ons in Brewley. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Brewley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Lane Kiffin press conference is at 3:30 today. Matt Moscona will be broadcasting AFR from the stadium where this will take place, and we'll have that for you live at 3:30. Of course, among the reasons I'm very intrigued and excited about what is going to happen next is I watched the game on Saturday. And I've had about all I can take a sideways offense, so I'm pretty excited. I think that the offense will go more vertically than horizontally, Jimmy.
No question about that. So, look, part of that was out of necessity because you felt you couldn't run the ball a whole lot. Those sideways passes are extended handoffs, but there cannot be too much of a regularity. Because then, the defenses start cheating to that area because they rely on space. And when they start cheating into that and cutting down your space, they become less and less effective. So, yeah. Don't worry about Lane Kiffin attacking the field vertically.
There'll be obviously more on this afternoon, too. What the offensive line obviously is the team that in the most in need of an upgrade. James Craig, who was on the LSU staff here in 2018, 19, and 20, and then was fired over rules violations. They went to court over that. Craig won. LSU won the appeal. He was an analyst last year for Ole Miss. He was not on the plane last night. It'll be an interesting question if he gets it today. Whether Craig can figure in down the road after there's still some legal hurdles to clear there. All I know is there's going to be a new offensive line coach. And that
Craig was a link because Layla, when they were separated, was
very good friends with his wife.
Yes, and spent a lot of time in Baton Rouge, during a stretch, and when he was employed at LSU. So that's something that was brought up when that was the Monday Baton Rouge tour, the Gainesville Baton Rouge Sunday Monday tour. So, yeah, we'll see.
I understand they had a lot of help from the quarterback and the skill position guys that year, but they did win the Joe Moore Award in 19 for the best offensive line in college football, okay? And several of those guys are still, playing in the NFL. So if he ended up here, that would not bother me at all. Okay,
yeah,
you go with that.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that all as many assistants came when they kind of
right.
Well, because they're leaving the team too. I mean,
and don't you think that there could be more after Ole Miss is out? Guys that feel obligated to stay there just so they can have enough staff to do this and then follow him in a month?
I want to see about the players.
You got to think. Give me a number. Number of players on Ole Miss's roster the day they play in the playoff that are at LSU next year. We're completely speculating, but
12.
I wasn't going to go that quite that high. I'm going to say 8. We'll see, but we're thinking about the same thing. And then the other thing is, I don't know what Lane Kiffin thinks.
How many guys are going to have that play
Buren
this year on LSU's team?
Roster for the bowl game versus roster for the opener next year?
No. Roster that played this year.
Roster that played this year.
Your active roster, not for a bowl game roster. So many guys are.
Okay, roster that went to Norman on Sunday. How
about what played the roster you played against Alabama?
I'm going to say of that roster, you'll probably get. Let me say 45% back, maybe 50.
Okay,
that's just
might be a little high,
but just it might be because between the guys that you're losing to just eligibility, that their careers are up. I don't think you got anybody that's going pro early. I think Whit Weeks will be back. That's just a guess. So I don't think you got anybody that's going pro early, and then it's all transfer portal guys after that. I do wonder what he thinks of Michael Van Buren and what he can do with him, but I suspect he's going quarterback shopping right out of the chute. And once the playoff is over, we're going to see what the eligibility deal is with Trinidad Chambliss. I don't know that he would follow him here if he is granted some more
There's
eligibility.
a little confidence there.
Yeah. He's got to go to Diego Pavia's lawyer, I suppose, to reconcile the Ferris State
My
stuff.
money's on he'll win.
Is it because the players are? I don't know if they're undefeated, but they're certainly on a hell of a roll in the courtroom.
They got a hell of a winning percentage.
Yes, they're doing pretty well.
I mean, it's scheduling is like LSU's basketball schedule right now. So
weak.
Yeah.
19 on the net. I mean, 19 on the net.
Let's go, baby. March Madness. Let's go, baby.
Well, I do know that schedule is about to ramp up. You know, the women went on a 44-0 run against Washington State. 44-0. Washington State, not Washington Tech, not Washington A&I.
You ain't got to worry about her still coaching in the garbage time, huh? A little general boy. She'll pop you, boy.
Have you ever heard of a 44-0 run? I mean, outside of the Globetrotters?
I used to referee Nard games, and when
college
when
level,
Fox Playground was playing Bodinger, I guess.
And that's like Wide World of Sports. The Globetrotters on a 44-0 run. Come on.
Don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest air conditioning and heating companies. We lose a little bit of AC, losing a little bit of heat right now. It's a little bit of everything, kind of going back and forth with that stuff. But right now is definitely the time. During that, we're not even thinking too much AC, very little use of the AC, a little bit right now. But now is the time, if you need to replace your unit, you're going to get the best deal on one. That's right. So you're going to get a great deal on all of the different lines that we carry. Carrier, American Standard, Dakin, Ream. So if your unit is over 10 years old, had to be serviced over the summer, call us up at 480-1000, and we will make a great deal with you on the replacement unit. So don't wait till the hot when it's the prices are much higher. Got to have it then. Now's the time to do it where you're going to get the best deal on a replacement unit. Call Total Maintenance, 480-1000, 480-1000.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Brewley. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Brewley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lane Kiffin press conference at 3:30 today. Matt's show, AFR, will be broadcasting from the stadium today. We'll have that press conference for you. Jimmy, I got two things I'm curious about in this press conference, and I think they're they're two of the big topics, and I don't know how much you can talk about either one of them. Number one is the departure and how detailed he wants to get into that. My guess is that he's going to have to spend some time on it, but not a lot of time on it because he wants to look forward. And the other thing everybody wants to know is about staffing, and I don't know, other than the guys he's already brought here, how much he can talk about that right now, because with one possible exception, go Tigers, I don't know anybody that's on staff that's going to be on staff that is not working right now. So I don't know how much he can necessarily talk about that. Past that, what well,
I want to, is a chunk of the Mississippi media, the Ole Miss media, going to travel over here and ask him some of those questions? It appears that you have to put your name on the list to be sort of credentialed to get in and not just show up. If you remember when Saban left Alabama, and I don't think it was Kiffin didn't grandstand with the Mississippi media like Saban did, and that was some bad grandstanding that he did before he took the Alabama. Don't ask me about the damn Alabama job.
The Miami media followed him.
He followed him to where they had to have a separate media availability prior to the introductory press conference for the Miami media, and they went there with their questions. Now, they do serve the Ole Miss fan base to a degree, and we know how the Ole Miss fan base, and they want some.
It's a story.
They want some questions answered, and then the $1 million question is: would you have executed this any differently? The way he dragged this out, Charlie, if they didn't have this deadline, if they didn't have assigned a date on Wednesday, he'd still be at Ole Miss.
Very well could be. If Auburn had
very well could be. He dragged this out as long as he possibly could.
If Auburn had won the game on Saturday night, he might be in Oxford today.
Yes, he might. Yeah. And I didn't think that was. I didn't think that. I mean, I didn't think that it was going to. I didn't think it was going to factor in as much as maybe it could have.
Thanks to the folks here at Walk-Ons in Brewley for being our host today. Again, the press conference at 3:30. We'll be talking about that tomorrow at Mike Anderson's. For Max and Jimmy, I'm Charles Hannegriff saying thank you and good afternoon for Jordan back in the studio. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.